Good morning, everybody. This is Waylon, looking a little sleepy-eyed. I have been up for hours reading my Times and walking Redford. Redford is right behind me. But we're only going to get to see him after we get some stuff done. So welcome, everybody. Everybody, if you don't mind, really quickly say two things. Say hello to Molly and my mom, Linda Lewis. And number two, say where in the world you are. I know many of you have already said, but it's just delightful in these kind of isolating times where there's a lot of division. I'm not by far not the first to make that observation, to reconnect in empathetic and caring community. Empathy is kind of a fancy word, but really what we're talking about is just caring for others, which is why masking seems to be just kind of a basic thing. It doesn't need to be partisan. It doesn't need to be political. We can just care for others. So Minnesota, Nova Scotia, Molly has been sick is why we're saying hi to her. We're not quite sure with what, but we think perhaps the coronavirus for a couple months, I believe. And my mom is tuning in from Halifax, Nova Scotia on my 11-year-old X laptop. So she may or may not be able to stick with us. But we have Cape Town, we have Salem, Oregon, we have Miami, Minneapolis. I'm sure I already missed a bunch. Portland, Oregon, one of my favorite towns. Berkeley, New Jersey. My grandparents used to live in Cranberry or near Cranberry, an old folks' home. I think I missed a few up here. Anyway, I just wanted to start with that. So these sessions, even if I'm on camera, are really not about me at all. They're about reminding ourselves. They're about community. They're about you. They're about reminding ourselves that caring community exists and that it's fun. It's precious. It's more worthwhile than really almost anything in our world. In Buddhism, we say we have three jewels, those of us who are Buddhists. We have the teacher, we have the teachings, and we have the community. So it's not just any old community. It's a community that comes together intentionally to do something mindful, helpful, kind. So thank you, everyone who is here and who is taking some time out of your day. And hopefully you're not taking it out of your day. We're going to give to your day something precious. So for those of you who have been here before, maybe can you say one word about why you're bothering to come back? Now, this isn't a testimonial. This isn't a commercial. Just why personally are you here? Why are you bothering to come back? So today we're going to write about ourselves, about our own experience. We're going to do something that is very basic to Buddhism, but also just basic to being human. So we have connection, we have advice. These gatherings have gotten me through all these months. I attended from the very first one, Rachel. The sense of community is profound. Peace, I learn something every time. So learning, stretching, opening up, inspiration, remind me to be mindful, authentic, connection and writing, community and inspiration, community, intelligent, kind, attention to life, connection and growth, insight. First timer here, Pamela. Everyone say hi to Pamela. To be inspired to feel community. And first time for Kathleen in the Philippines. So let's all say hey to Kathleen and Pamela, or Pam. Community, curiosity, awareness, kindness, reach outside my bubble. So to share in community with like-minded souls and give strength to continue on. So I wanted to start with something. Thank you, Rachel, for saying hi to Pamela. It's nice when we actually connect personally. It's a big group, so the more we can connect specifically, the better. My mom is raring to go. She's saying, she's a wonderful Buddhist teacher. She's saying empathy is both a simple, basic feeling and can be made complex by trying to be hip. I think that's a warning for me. So I often write, it's simple, it's hard. So empathy is simple. There isn't that much to it. It is simply connecting with our own experience with some sense of caring and attention and compassion. Does anyone here give yourself a really hard time? It's okay to give yourself a hard time if you're being a jerk. But a lot of us give ourselves a hard time about just about everything. Anyone do that? So in Buddhism, they talk about this. I think it's mom should be teaching this, but the 3 pains. There's the pain of pain. We add pain to pain. We give ourselves a hard time about just about everything. What we eat, what we don't eat, what we, if we clean up, we're too uptight. If we don't clean up, we're too messy. Yeah, so if you want to say yes, say hi. That's our little affirmative tribute to our Japanese sisters and brothers. I grew up in a Buddhist summer camp that would say hi, and it's just a wonderful affirmative. So it is good to give ourselves a hard time if we're being jerks, if we're being selfish, if we're calling those who serve others suckers and losers, we probably should give ourselves a hard time. But if we're just giving ourselves a hard time for living, for making mistakes, for being imperfect, we need to begin to walk the path of Maitri. So Maitri, loving kindness, is related to empathy. It's not the same thing. We are going to do a writing exercise to explore empathy. Empathy, it kind of comes after Maitri. When we bother to exert loving kindness toward ourselves, Maitri or Metta. I just interviewed Sharon Salzberg. She's featured in our Maitri course. If you join Elephant Academy, we're going to write our way to and through Maitri this fall, 100 or so, maybe more of us. Maybe let's start with a couple questions, and then we'll jump right into writing and or meditation, depending on where folks are at. Does that sound good? So is empathy a weakness? From Fujin Ni. I think Fujin, you probably know the answer. That's why you're asking that. That's a koan. I love that you asked that. That, honestly, that question is wisdom in and of itself. Suzuki Roshi, the wonderful author of Zen Mind, Beginner's Mind, said, it is wisdom which is seeking wisdom. It is your wisdom which is longing, which is curious. Curiosity is in of itself wisdom. Openness is wiser than being closed. Does that make sense? This isn't profound Buddhist stuff. This is basic human wisdom. So empathy is a weakness. Pema Chodron, a wonderful Buddhist teacher. Has anyone ever read Pema Chodron? She talks about how the feeling of brokenheartedness, that broken feeling in and of itself is bodhicitta, the seed of awakening, the seed of traveling on the path of waking up. And Buddha simply means awakened one. Buddha doesn't mean fancy, enlightened, perfect person. Buddha simply means you've woken up. Pema, you could go a whole, many lifetimes without running into the Dharma, truth. Pema offers it in an incredibly simple way. Again, to what my mom said, it's very simple, which is a very helpful reminder. So none of this is complex, but that doesn't mean it's easy. It's really hard to reverse our habitual patterns. Does anyone here have a habitual pattern of being hard on yourself? I know I do. I think most of us do. But the practice of Maitri has allowed me to catch that. Whenever that arises, I notice that and I say, it's good that you're giving yourself a hard time. That means you care. But give yourself a break, lighten up. Trungpa Rinpoche said, regret or guilt is super important. He didn't put it that way. Regret is super important. He said, regret is helpful and vital and important, but maybe just for 3 seconds. Learn from it, reflect, and then move forward, right? Leonard Cohen, he said, in that song, he said, it is through the cracks that the light gets in. So Sujin, hopefully I'm saying your name correctly, the cracks, the openness, our curiosity, the weakness is our strength. We can be vulnerable. The path is to be brave, to be grounded, to rest in that vulnerability without feeling just exposed, We do feel exposed. We do feel brokenhearted, but we have to be able to stay there. And that's what happens when you cry, right? You're staying there. Yeah, forget your perfect offering. Oh, Leonard Cohen. Ring the bells that still can ring. Forget your perfect offering. There is a crack in everything. That's how the light gets in. And Leonard Cohen studied Buddhism. So we're all on the same page here. But this really isn't about Buddhism. Again, this is about basic human wisdom. This is about how do we serve others. And, you know, I don't want to be partisan. I'm not going to change any minds here. But when we call those who have bothered to serve and sacrifice, make the ultimate sacrifice in many cases against fascism, when we call those people suckers and losers, we are flipping the notion of service on its head. Trungpa Rinpoche called service the ultimate smile. Service is privilege. It is a privilege to be able to serve. Leadership is service, or should be. Sergeant means servant. To be of benefit, that's our hashtag, may it be of benefit. That is the world's greatest honor. We could put Eleanor Roosevelt's 10 quotes in the sidebar, please. She said once she discovered service, she never wanted to do anything else because she had been miserable all her life until she discovered service. Service is the ultimate smile. And I also did write a blog about Trump's losers and suckers thing, so we could put that in. It's brand new if anyone feels like reading anything political. And I do think it is okay to talk about politics. I do think it is okay to care about politics because politics affect food, politics affect education, politics affect healthcare, pre-existing conditions, politics affect social security, politics affect moral values, politics affect really everything in our life. All right, how to differentiate a genuine empathy from a faked one, from Hans Sid. Hans Sid, wonderful question. So yeah, there's a lot of sort of obsequious gestures that are talk about empathy or kindness, right? I mean, I think Gap, the clothing company, literally did a whole ad campaign about being authentic. When you're marketing with millions of dollars something about authenticity, that gets dangerous, right? Authenticity is simply being genuine. Empathy is simply being kind, caring about someone else. It's not just kindness. Empathy is saying, wow, I have felt the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune. And I care about the slings and arrows that have hurt you because I can feel that. Empathy is a feeling. I think they talk about that in Le Petit Prince. Has anyone read The Little Prince? It says, you know, friendship is creating a tie from me to you. Are we all friends here? Of a kind. We have a tie together. Maybe a weak tie. Yeah, Michelle, thank you. Michelle, I remember very movingly, joined us when we were talking about Black Lives Matter. And I do need to footnote that we have done that all of our 18 years. It's fundamental to our mission. Equal rights is one of our 12 areas of focus. So this is not a time to be fair weather. This is a time, as Michelle says, where everything is political and we all need to care. We all need to be empathetic for one another. We can avoid politics, but politics will not avoid us. So those who are kind, those who are meek, those who are decent should engage in politics and not just leave the political field to those who are aggressive or immoral. So how do we distinguish from empathy that is kind or fake? You know, to quote the judge or to misquote the judge who was charged with identifying what is pornographic versus erotic, who said, I know it when I see it. With empathy, you know it when you feel it. Whether it's empathy for yourself, you'll feel when your empathy is genuine and simple. Axia, I think we're afraid of politics or Asia for a very kind reason. We don't want to offend others. We want to connect. We don't want to offend. We want to connect. We want to be united. We don't want to be divisive. And people are very divisive about politics, so we don't want to offend. But we have to be willing to talk about politics, not just from a partisan point of view. I don't view myself as a partisan. I would vote for a Republican. I would vote for a Libertarian. I would vote for anyone in a second who respected science, who respected equal rights, who respected that climate change is an overwhelming threat, who respected that equity is important, and who cared, who exhibited caring. You know, when John McCain, who was far from perfect, not someone I voted for, when he died, I bought his autobiography and read it, and I got a lot out of it. Same with a lot of, moderates get a bad name these days, but I love moderates. Moderates on some level are willing to listen. We need to be extreme. We need to be progressive. We need to be extreme in caring for others, in saying, no, I don't want just halfway rights for our LGBTQ sisters and brothers and others. I want equal rights. And equity is even better than equal, right? So we need to be extreme in that way, but we need to be moderate in that we need to be willing to listen to those who we might disagree with. Ooh, Heidi, that's beautiful. Faithless is he that says farewell when the road darkens. So yeah, we need to show up. When the road darkens, we need to show up all the more. When Trump won election, I said, we need to fight harder with love. We need to fight harder with kindness. We can't run away. So wonderful question, but simply when genuine empathy shows up, we feel it, whether it's for ourselves, Maitri, or for others, or another to us, we feel it. It doesn't even have to have words attached. It can just be a look. It can just be a gesture. It can just be an act of service. We'll feel it. If you want to join Elephant Academy, it starts, I think, end of this month. And we're going to write our way through Maitri, through the path of Maitri. So Maitri can be written out. Writing is a form of contemplation. And contemplation is sort of halfway between meditation and action. Contemplation is a wonderful way to digest and to illuminate our experience. Let's write about making friends with ourselves. So this is something you can share in the comments. You can share what we write, and we haven't started yet. Or you can keep it private if you want it to be really personal. So Maitri is loving kindness. We can put blogs about Maitri. We also have a whole course on Maitri. Maitri is making friends with yourself. Thank you for asking that clarifying question. Maitri is making friends with ourselves, even and especially the parts of ourselves that we dislike. Maitri isn't saying, you know what, I'm okay, I'm wonderful, and gosh darn it, people like me. Maitri is not an affirmation or a self-affirmation. Maitri is actually doing the work, getting in there. Don't like all of it. It's important to make friends with the parts of yourself that you like, because we're very cynical. Trungpa Rinpoche talked about how we overexploit the parts of us that we feel proud about. And that's arrogance, right? It's a kind of desperate arrogance. Does that make sense? Folks, is this resonating? Is this connecting? And this is the ground for what we're going to write. This is leading to what we're going to write. So Maitri is making friends with parts of ourselves that we like, that we want to show off, that we overexploit, that we feel kind of arrogant about. You know how someone, if they have, I'll just make fun of myself. If you saw the Jane Elliott video, maybe you like walking around with your shirt open, you have your cleavage, whether you're a man or a woman. That can be a kind of desperate arrogance, right? But Maitri is also, so it's about making friends with that. Oh, I feel proud about this part of me, or I feel relaxed about it at least. So it's making friends with that so we can relax and not just try to show off in this arrogant, desperate way, right? But then Maitri is also making friends with the parts of ourselves that we don't like. And that's what we usually focus on, whether it's my pimples or my guilt around my childhood, or my balding, or my saggy arms or my, whatever it is. Aging can bring up a lot of discomfort. Aging, whether we're a teenager or older, an elderly person, aging is a real focus for Maitri. So yeah, we have a whole Maitri course. And the great thing about Maitri is once we engage in Maitri with ourselves, we've so much freed up energy. We're not investing our time in guilt tripping ourselves, in binging and purging and all this kind of too tight, too loose behavior. We can just be, and we can open our eyes, and we can look out, and we can be available to the world, and we can help others. We can be a sucker or a loser. We can serve others. So there's a wonderful article there about distinguishing discernment, Maitri versus self-care. They're not the same thing. Self-care can be fine. Self-care can be great, but that's not what Maitri is. Maitri is kindness for our fundamental being, paying attention and caring, making friends with our fundamental being. All right, so let's write. Enough talk. But I do like to lay the ground and connect as a community. So let's write. We'll write, let's say, at least 3 sentences, but it can be far more. And we're only going to have a couple minutes, maybe 4 minutes, but I'll begin it, so don't start yet. And what we're going to do is we're going to write about anything that has been hard for us lately. So start by saying, lately, comma, it's been hard to blah, blah, blah. Lately, blah, 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 blah has been hard. So we're going to write, say, 3 to many more sentences in a row that all start with lately, and then talk about what has been hard. And the point of this isn't to complain. The point of this is to air out, to turn the compost in whatever has been challenging or hard. And often what we do with that stuff, because we're busy, we're on our phones all day long, we're running around, we have appointments, we don't have time to deal with these confusing issues. So sort of in a well-intentioned way, we often will just say later, later, later. We kind of suppress that stuff. Anyone ever do that? Anyone? So right now we're going to attend to that. And a lot of that is what Maitri is. It's very simply, we attend to what has been ignored. It's like a big part of ourselves is a confused Waylon, and we haven't attended to ourselves. All right, so let's all jump in. Don't get distracted. This is you time. This is you time. Write 3 to 10 sentences. Write it in the comments if you're going to share it. Write it separately if you're not going to share it. And if you don't know if you're going to share it, you can write in the comment and then not share it. So you're going to start every sentence with lately it's been hard, or lately blah, blah, blah has been hard. Okay? 4 minutes. Go. Or you can say, I've struggled with. The exact words don't matter, but start it with lately. Feel free to break the rules if you're feeling it. more minutes. One more minute, maybe a little less. Okay, folks. That's too long. Just put it in the comments if you're willing to. You definitely don't need to. If you want to keep it private, you can. Okay, if you do put in the comments, it is public, and I might read it. So this is kind of going with what Hans Sid asked about. How do we know if it's genuine? We're going to feel it. So when we read someone bothering to care about themselves, not in an enabling way, not in a wimpy way, in a powerfully brave way. It takes bravery to really care about yourself. So Sarah, lately it has been hard to stay in my job because it doesn't serve my purpose anymore. And seeing, hearing talk that doesn't resonate or comes against my values makes my heart shrink. We're always hiring. elephantjournal.com/jobs. All right. Yeah, that's beautiful. I mean, it's important for us to care about values in our work. That's called right livelihood. And I have a lot of blogs on that. We could put that. Lately, from beautiful, stopping my ego from judging others has been hard. I often tell my ego to fuck off to balance out these pulls to stay attached to non-reality. Remember, it's okay to judge others. It's not okay to prejudge others. We judge all day. Judging can be discernment. Judging can be insight. We judge that we should eat an organic apple versus a pile of dog poop, right? Judging is natural. The problem is prejudice, prejudging. And telling your ego to F off is kind of judging on your ego. So we can be nice to our egos. We don't have to enable them, but we can listen and we can talk to them. Our egos are sort of ignored children. Lately, on some level, that's why they're so noisy. Lately, it has been hard from Griselda to have patience with my fourth graders during this homeschooling situation. Just acknowledging that. It's hard to be patient with children. That can be hard to acknowledge. I'm going to look for longer ones, folks. Lately, it's been hard to rebel against the urge to open Twitter in search of a hit of hope, especially when 7 out of 10 times I end up feeling worse. Yeah, if you're looking for a hit of hope, Twitter is probably not the place to go. It has hits of hope, but there's a community on Reddit called Uplifted something. You can find that, or maybe Elephant. But remember, we don't just want hope. We want hope and reality. It's okay to look at when things are hard. That's okay. Lately, it's been hard to stay motivated to keep from Ember, to keep my yoga business going. Yeah, it's hard times. I've struggled to maintain students and worry about losing the studio. I've also been tired of the hustle and would love to just teach. Lately, I've felt uncertain about what to do, and I'm just tired of it all. Oh, Ember, I feel that in my bones. I kind of wrote about the same thing. Elephant's big, we have millions of readers, but there's a quality where people just kind of take it for granted. Not all of you who are obviously here, but maybe just being open about that with your students, with your community on Facebook, on maybe write about it on Elephant. You know, it's hard out here right now to create community. Everyone's kind of withdrawing or splitting up. I did an online yoga class the other day. I have to say online yoga was powerful, really helps me, and I encourage everyone. I'm trying to just read longer ones because hopefully those will get into some specificity, some depth. Alexa, lately it's been hard to decide to prolong what feels like a one-sided relationship. Lately it's been hard to focus, to stay positive and not feel bogged down by the weight of the world. So again, we don't have to stay positive. It's okay to be bogged down by the weight of the world. I did a video just the other day of my most favorite Buddhist quote, which is, and we have that blog as well. I don't know if the video is in the blog, but my favorite Buddhist quote is, keep the sadness and pain of samsara in your heart. Allow yourself to be brokenhearted. Remember that Leonard Cohen quote. And at the same time, the vision and brilliance of the morning sun, of awakening human nature. Then we can make a proper cup of tea or coffee. The point is, when we can remain open to suffering, ourselves or others, and the goodness and the wonderfulness of this beautiful world, like the Louis Armstrong song, What a Wonderful World. I love that song, that kind of feeling, the majesty, the beauty of this world and of nature and of animals and of diversity and of arts. If we can be open to both, then we can live properly. I hope that's a little helpful. Alexa, we have a lot of great blogs about one-sided relationships too on Elephant. Hopefully some of those will be helpful. If you're subscribed, obviously you can read unlimited. Just click, click, click. Andrea, lately it's been hard to emotionally connect with the very person I love. Start with yourself. Come back to yourself. Lately it's been hard to stay focused and get things done. Lately, it's been hard to prove that I am not this insecure, unfeeling, fake, selfish, bitchy, and argumentative person I am told I am. Yeah, we don't have to buy into what people tell us we are. At the same time, we can make friends with the idea that, okay, someone said I'm insecure, unfeeling, fake, selfish, bitchy, and argumentative. Maybe I am. We don't have to be proud of that. We don't have to be aggressive about that, but we can listen to criticism. My headmaster in Vermont, St. Johnsbury Academy, just retired. And he had this beautiful thing he wrote about remaining open to criticism and how it made him better. So we don't have to be brittle. We can be like bamboo and we can bend. We can listen to criticism. And we can decide that some of it is not accurate. We can't do that much writing in these, but we can do one exercise. We can maybe do two. If you want a lot more, you can travel with us along the journey of Maitri this fall. There's a lot of curriculum. We're not making it up as we go. It's been around for 12 years. It's super in-depth. It's super powerful, super fun. It's super challenging. It's super frustrating. It's super transformative. And it's called Elephant Academy. Elephant Academy is, as I always say, the funnest thing that we get to do. It's the greatest honor. It's the funnest thing. And it's something, even if it's hard to share it and market it and all that, is the most fulfilling thing I get to do. It is live, it is online, and it is community. There's like three parts. There's live, there's the online curriculum, which is like a huge library, like going to school, and then there's live community. It is writing prompts, but it's also meditation, it's also study, it's also community, it's also direct mentorship. Our editors at Elephant work with you in your writing directly. You can publish on Elephant with help directly. I don't think there's any college curriculum where you could publish what you're writing about Maitri, about your story, about from your voice, finding your voice, to a site with millions and millions of readers a month. And yeah, it's a wonderful tonic for burnout. So it's 6 to 8 weeks. It's 8 weeks of live, 6 weeks of mentorship community writing. This is the time for empathetic, brave, caring community. not wimpy brave, not wimpy caring, not wimpy Maitri, but grounded, relaxed, confident in our Maitri. And that can only be done by walking the path, riding the path, to making friends with yourself. Otherwise, it's just a front. Thank you, everyone. And let's all take a great posture and end properly. In this fast food culture, a lot of us probably have already left. Let's be here for each other and end as we began, with a moment of acknowledging one another. Take a great posture. And I think since we didn't begin with a bow, we'll do a double strength bow. Take a great posture and relax. And give it away. May it be of benefit. I hope this was helpful. If it was, just say hi, or say thank you, or say hello, everybody. Namaste, gratitude. Say whatever you like. Let's say it. Have some goodbye. Thank you, everybody. And I'll stick around for 1 minute and answer one more question. I've been told that I am very detached from the people I live with, and unless I can help myself and solve my own problems, nobody is interested in coming to me for advice, empathy, support. This seems to create detachment from their side, and I feel like I'm stuck in a vicious circle. How can I solve this? How can I be more empathetic while solving my own issues? Yeah, Andrea, I think on some level that is pretty good feedback from people. I think you just need to invest in caring about yourself right now. It's always good to care about others, but really listen to that and say, you do need to begin by solving your own problems, or at least attending to them. And then you can ask for help. I do recommend doing a Maitri course. We have a whole course on elephant, or at least go out and buy, hopefully at a used or local bookstore, not on Amazon, a Pema Chodron book. Try to travel the path of making friends with yourself. It is simple, as my mom said, but it is hard. It is really hard. It's like staying in a sauna too long. You're going to have to lean into and against some of your own habitual patterns. And there's no better time than to do it right now at the beginning of the rest of your life. That may sound like a Hallmark card, but we are just wasting our life if we don't make friends with ourselves. We need to do that so that we can do anything. All right. Big love to everybody. Thank you, everyone. And we'll do it next month, first Friday of every month.